Salams, this is People's Dispatch and you're watching the Daily Roundup, our selection of some of the top news stories from around the world. Here are today's headlines. Peru's Congress approves a bill advancing elections. Twitter actively aided the spread of pro-US propaganda, an investigation has revealed. Iran and the EU to meet in Jordan to boost talks on the nuclear deal. And ambulance workers in England and Wales begin a strike over low wages. First up, Peru's Congress on Tuesday, the 20th of December, with 93 votes in favor and 30 against and 1 abstention, approved a bill to advance general elections to April 2024. They were originally scheduled for April 26. In order to take effect, the bill must be ratified in a second vote in the coming months with at least 87 congressional votes, as it is a constitutional reform. The decision to change the electoral calendar came in the midst of intensification of nationwide protests demanding ousted left-wing President Pedro Castillo's release and reinstatement, the resignation of de facto President Dina Boluarte, dissolution of the right-wing dominated Congress, fresh parliamentary elections, and a constituent assembly to change the country's 1993 constitution. According to polls, as much as 83% of the country is in favor of bringing elections forward to resolve the socio-political crisis facing Peru. Castillo was removed from office and arrested on the 7th of December. His dismissal brought tens of thousands onto the streets, demanding structural change to the country's political and economic systems. For the past 2 weeks, indigenous and peasant communities, popular movements, social organizations, student associations, and trade unions have organized demonstrations and roadblocks and been occupying local airports through the country. The Boluarte government has responded to these with security clampdowns, including the deployment of armed soldiers during a state of emergency declared at the national level. According to latest reports from Peru, according to latest reports from the Peruvian Health Ministry, so far 26 protesters have died as a result of the violent police and military repression of protesters. On Tuesday, a delegation from the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights arrived in the capital Lima to meet with authorities as part of a fact-finding mission on the volatile political situation. An investigation by an American journalist on Wednesday revealed that the social media website Twitter worked with the United States Department of Defense to spread pro-US propaganda in West Asia. Twitter reportedly allowed fake accounts run by the US military to covertly disseminate false information, positive information, and narratives about the military's operations and activities in the entire region. The investigation was carried out by journalist Li Fang with the US news outlet The Intercept and is based on analysis of Twitter's internal files. Known as the Twitter files, these documents were recently released and shared with a number of journalists by new Twitter owner Elon Musk, who bought the company back in October. It notes that despite vowing to shut down covert state-run and backed influence and propaganda campaigns, Twitter instead continued to tolerate the military's fake accounts, which were spreading fake information and positive propaganda on the site till at least May of this year. According to details revealed by the investigation, Twitter also aided and abetted the military's activities by creating a special whitelist of accounts run by the US Central Command. The whitelist enabled those accounts to be exempt from Twitter's flagging policies and processes, through which spam and abusive accounts are restricted or removed from the platform. As a result, these accounts gained much greater visibility. These priority accounts were then prolifically used by the US military to spread a wide range of pro-US propaganda as well as other favorable narratives, including critiques of Iran, support for the US and Saudi-backed war in Yemen, and claims about the superior accuracy of US drone strikes. An important point to note is that Twitter introduced this feature back in 2017 after it was approached by the US military to improve the visibility of 52 Arabic language accounts used to amplify certain messaging. The US military gave these fake accounts the impression that they were real accounts belonging to civilians in the Middle East, complete with fake pictures and sophisticated bios in order to conceal their actual ownership. The European Union and Iran began talks on Tuesday, the 20th of December in the Jordanian capital Amman to bolster efforts to reinstate the landmark 2015 nuclear deal reached between Iran and world powers. The two sides met on the sidelines of the Second Baghdad Conference for Cooperation and Partnership and held talks which they later described as necessary in the wake of deteriorating Iran-EU relations. Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahi and EU's Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell attended the meeting on either side. with Iran's chief negotiator in the nuclear deal talks, Ali Bagheri Kani, and EU's coordinator for the talks, Enrique Mora, also taking part. Known as the JCPOA, or the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the nuclear deal, when it was signed in 2015, was hailed as an historic international agreement aimed at preventing nuclear proliferation and resolving an international crisis using diplomacy. However, in 2018, the US, under President Donald Trump, withdrew from the deal unilaterally and imposed severe arbitrary sanctions back on Iran. In response, the West Asian country stopped abiding by the deal as well, causing the deal to fall apart and increasing the risk of further global hostility, conflict, and even war between Iran and the West. After Trump was voted out of power, the next US president expressed his intention to restore the deal, leading to direct as well as indirect back-channel talks between Iran, the European Union, and the US, which started in April 2021. However, these talks to renew the deal have been in a state of deadlock since September this year because of mutual distrust, disagreements, and both sides trading accusations about the other not complying with the deal's premises. Additionally, several extraneous issues and factors have since cropped up and are influencing the outcome of talks. Those include, of course, the Russia-Ukraine war, Iran's purported support of Russia, protests in Iran domestically, and the new arbitrary sanctions imposed on Iran by the West, which has caused further damage to the economy as well as the humanitarian situation in the country. And finally, thousands of ambulance workers in England and Wales on Wednesday launched a strike and walked out of their jobs over long-standing low-pay issues. The ambulance workers decided to launch the strike action days after nurses in the UK embarked on their own strike over the same issue, amid rising inflation resulting in a worsening cost of living crisis. The strike is expected to result in widespread disruption in healthcare services in England and Wales, especially ambulance services, of course, and will put the NHS, the National Health Service, under even more pressure than it already has because of the nurses already being on strike. Aside from walking off their jobs, workers are organizing picket lines and vigils outside several ambulance headquarters, demanding higher pay as well as better work conditions. The government has responded to the workers going on strike due to their declining economic conditions by saying that it's deeply regrettable and that the workers are putting patients' lives in danger. It's further flatly refused to get involved in the dispute over wages and conditions between employers and unions representing the workers. It has additionally refused to increase wages of striking workers in response to their demands, in line with the current rate of inflation in the country, which is above 10% for the month of November. Union leaders strongly rejected the government's assertion that workers going on strike is harming patient safety, calling them insulting. GMB Union National Secretary Rachel Harrison retorted that workers have not taken the decision to strike lightly, as they've been forced into this position by the government, not addressing concerns and demands year on year. She further stated that the government could solve the dispute at any time if it wanted to. That's all we have on this episode of the Daily Roundup. For more details on these stories, as always, please head over to our website, peoplesdispatch.org, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram if you don't already. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.